And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the show about St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Sports Information Director Donnie Netto. And Donnie, we have a great guest a little bit later on in the program, one of our favorite student athletes, Kathi Opsahl. We're finally getting her on the program. She's a softball player, a senior this year, as things are winding down now for the softball team and the seniors especially, and so it'll be great to have Kathi on. We've been waiting a long time for this.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I know one of the things I've talked a lot about when we talk about Kathi is not only her talent on the softball field, but the fact that there's always a smile on her face, and you know, she's one of those people that truly enjoys competing, but really I think just enjoys life. And it'll be fun to have her on and just kind of talk a little bit about her career here at St. Mary's and the softball season in general. And, you know, Sunday is their final home game, so it's going to be certainly, as we talk every time, a little bit bittersweet on Sunday when we bid farewell to our four softball seniors. So we'll get a little perspective from her on this coming weekend and those games, you know, her final ones at St. Mary's Field.
So we'll get that smile and Kathi on in just a little bit, but first we'll recap this past week in St. Mary's athletics. And Donnie, since softball is coming up later, we'll start now with baseball and some really big upcoming conference games. There are about 6 doubleheader games left, so about a dozen games left, and right now the Cardinals are sitting out of the playoff hunt, but it won't take much to get back in it. They just need to win a couple of these doubleheaders coming up here.
Yeah, no question. It's crunch time, as we always talk. It's funny when you talk about spring sports, especially baseball and softball. They go on their spring trip in late February, early March, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's toward the end of April, and their season is almost done. And so a lot of games come packed into a short amount of time. If Mother Nature doesn't start cooperating, it's going to make it even that much more difficult. Already the baseball game that was scheduled on Wednesday has been moved to Thursday, so it just kind of cramps things up a little bit more. The race is going to be incredibly tight, and you know, sitting at 3-5 right now, the Cardinals are still right in the thick of it, and really came through big on Monday against St. Olaf, a big sweep over the Olies that really kind of kept them in that playoff hunt, and an awesome first game, a 7-6 win in 10 innings, one of those games that just St. Mary's did everything they needed to do, and they did it all with 2 outs. And you know, anytime that you can make the most of that third out, and you can come through with some big 2-out hits, that's the key. In that game, they scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning after giving up 3 to the Olies in the top of the 10th, and came up with a win. Bob Kinney with a big 2-out home run in that 10th inning, and then Justin Weinberg with a walk-off single. Great for a freshman to come through with a big clutch hit like that, and I think that game really kind of solidifies this team and the fact that they are going to play from start to finish until that final out is made. They went into the bottom of the 10th down 6-3, and they come away with a 7-6 win, including several of those runs with 2 outs. So a big win there. They carried that over into the second game, and they won 9-6 in a game that they were leading 9-2 going into the 7th. So gave up a few runs in the 7th, but really were in complete control of that second game. And that's really the kind of baseball that this team is capable of playing.
Well, and it's a good example of how earlier in the season, those were the types of games, like that first game where they won in extra innings, they weren't pulling those out early in the season, and they were either settling for a split or a doubleheader loss. Now, with that win, we'll see if that propels them coming up in their remaining conference games.
No question. And the key is going to be is they've got to continue to get good starting pitching. Ryan Wolf and Jesse Barron pitched very well on Monday, took them deep into the innings, and then they've got to continue offensively doing what they're doing. And you look at that first game, they scored 7 runs, 14 hits, and all 9 starters had at least 1 hit. So top to bottom, we've talked about that with this team, top to bottom, they are a legitimate threat. There is no easy out in that lineup, and you know, Coach Winicky, when you have that kind of firepower, it makes for some you know, some sleepless nights for their opponents, I'm sure, because there are so many different people that can hurt you. And it was nice to see Bob really break out. He had 6 RBIs on the day against St. Olaf, including that home run. He had 2 two-run doubles in the first 2 innings of Game 2. So it's good to see Hockey Bob, as they call him. It's good to see him break out and really do well. Ben Berkeley continues to hit very well, and you know, they just continue to play very, very good baseball. And I think that when we tape next week, and hopefully weather permitting, we get Coach Winicky on the show. He's going to be very happy with where they're sitting in terms of that playoff picture, because it's going to start to really take shape over the next week or so.
So you brought up Ben Berkeley, and I wanted to talk about a spotlight that Rich Miles did for the conference's website, where he spotlighted Ben Berkeley and Berkeley's cousin, Mary Claire Couillard, who plays for Hamline University for the softball team, and they're cousins. And not only are they cousins, but they're all conference players. Not only are they all conference players, they're all region players. So a phenomenal family situation there in the MIAC, and it was nice to see Rich in the MIAC spotlight there.
Yeah, it was a really neat feature that Rich did, and it kind of shows you just the ins and outs of MIAC baseball and softball, and how it is really a family-oriented thing. And I think of all the things that you mentioned about the two of them, the one that really stands out to me is they're both academic All-Americans. Mm-hmm. And so as good as they both were on their field of competition, they're that good in the classroom as well. And I think that really shows you the type of student athletes that the MIAC has. They are not only great athletes, but they're great students as well. And both of them, I know Ben very well, and he's having a Ben Berkeley type season, just continues to amaze everybody. And it's really interesting to learn that his cousin is also playing in the MIAC and playing at that high level that he is. It's a pretty neat story.
Yeah, it really is. So if you get a chance, just check that out on the MIAC website. We go now to track and field, Donnie. This past weekend, St. Mary's was at Gustavus, and we had Becca Dupe on the show last week. Popular guest, wonderful guest. She performed well again. But there's another triple jumper that we have to talk about. Not on the women's side, Donnie, but on the men's side this time.
Yeah, kind of nice. Sorry, Becca, but you're going to have to take a back seat here, and we can talk about somebody else. James Stewart, a great weekend at Gustavus. He did win the triple jump, finished in the top 10 in the long jump and the high jump as well, so a very busy time for him there. Kyle Lichtenegger, outstanding performances in the 100, and there are so many people that really did outstanding things. You got to mention Becca. She had 3 third-place finishes. Maria Mizzarelli was 4th in the pole vault. So it's just about mid-season now, and it looks like the Cardinals are in that mid-season form. They're doing extremely well. A very big meet this Friday at UW La Crosse again. This is probably one of the biggest meets that they'll be in. There'll be a number of very, very good teams. Whenever you're competing against La Crosse, a perennial national champion, you're going to come up against some of the top competition in the Midwest, and so it's a very big meet on Friday. And then the following Saturday, they're home for their second home meet of the season. So they're kind of gearing up right now. Right now is where they're starting to think about, okay, let's make sure we're getting ready for the conference championships, because before we know it, as we're talking how fast it goes, before we know it, we'll be talking about the outdoor championships.
Yeah. Now, Stewart's performance, as great as it was, one of his teammates right behind him taking second place in the triple jump. That's Dean Marlin. So St. Mary's putting together on the men's side quite a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, and I think that Coach Anderson, as we learned, especially from Becca last weekend, Coach Anderson likes his sprinters to do a field event, and I know James is also a very good sprinter, and so it's nice to see, and now that you know that from Becca, it's interesting to see them excel at some of these field events, and it really, you've got to tip your cap to Coach Anderson, because he's finding events that these people can excel at, and Stewart had a great weekend in the triple jump. He's one of those people that I think is going to be one of those to beat in the triple jump in the conference championships. And so you look at our jumpers on both sides, we've got some depth and we've got some great talent, so it'll be kind of fun to see how that progresses this Friday against some of the top competition in the country, or in the Midwest, and then at the outdoor championships against the best of the conference.
I think with track and field, I think the throwing events are really fun to watch. Ross Kinderman took 4th place in the javelin, so great to see him doing
Yeah, and it's one of those that Ross, I don't think before he came to St. Mary's had ever thrown a javelin, so it's good to see, again, him excel in an event. He's a hurdler who's been bothered by some back issues, so he hasn't been able to hurdle the way he was capable of when he came as a freshman, but he's found another event that he's able to do, and again, is excelling at. I think one of the things that you're seeing with the Cardinals this year, last year, since Coach Anderson's been here, is it's not just about competing in events, it's about excelling in those events. And we're getting athletes that are not only really, really good, but they're among the best around. So it's kind of fun to be able to be talking about a Becca Dupe who's, triple jump is 11th best in the nation, and James winning the triple jump at Gustavus, where there's some very talented people. It's good to see the progression that this program is taking right now.
Right, and a lot of these athletes we're talking about, as we had with Becca on the show last week, they're underclassmen. They're not graduating necessarily yet, at least some of them, and so a bright future, I think, for track and field.
No question, especially in the field events. I think we certainly are going to miss somebody like a Jovan Newsom, who we've talked about so many times, and is having another great year. I think they're kind of lining him up in terms of meets. He did not compete this weekend at Gustavus, so they're kind of lining him up in terms of when they want him to compete, getting him ready for a conference championship. But, Brandon Krogman's having a great season, and there's just so many of them that, you look at a Bailey Jones, who's really doing very well in the high jump, coming off of a volleyball season as a freshman, and really kind of turning it on in the track and field. There's just so many names and so many people that are doing such great things. You look at our long jumpers on the men's side, we had 4 in the top 6 at Gustavus last weekend. So a lot of great people doing some very good things, and it's just exciting to see where this program is headed. Coach Anderson's doing a great job.
All right, let's shift gears now to women's tennis, and a really impressive win over River Falls, 8-1. So many good performances, and some 6-0 victories in this one. St. Mary's women's tennis team looking really good right now.
Yeah, they're playing extremely well. 4 straight matches that they've won, and they're 11-4 overall, playing some extremely good tennis. As we talked about last weekend, a big match against St. Benedict this weekend. It'll be their last match of the season. It's really for all the marbles. They need to win that one for any chance to make it to the MIC playoffs, but they're playing extremely well. It's going to be no surprise if they come away with a win in that match. You've got to tip your hat to the 2 seniors, Haley Jorgensen and Megan Vandenberg. They've led this team really for the past 4 years. They'll be playing their final home match against Northwestern on Wednesday, and then their final regular season match against St. Benedict on Saturday. Both of them have just been outstanding student athletes, and really have helped propel that women's tennis program. Haley heads into the Northwestern and St. Ben's matches, having won 8 straight singles matches, and is 3rd all-time in career singles wins with 53, 1 short of Megan, who's got 54, and Megan's just 2 shy of Bailey Edwards' school record of 56. So, a lot for the individuals to play for in terms of maybe catching Bailey in Megan's standpoint. But, right now it's focusing on that St. Benedict match, keeping that rolling. A nice 8-1 win is a really good way to head into this final week, and hopefully gives them the momentum that they're going to need against St. Ben's, because that's a huge match for them.
Right, and it goes to show how good the conference is in women's tennis. You have a team like St. Mary's, 11-5 overall, and they're still not in the conference tournament yet, postseason.
Yeah, and we've talked about that so many times, that in every sport, but tennis is one of those that, it is such a tough, it's tough to break into that top 6, and it would be a great cap to the season for the Cardinals, who have had such a great year, if they could get into that conference tournament. It'd be awesome to see them play in that tournament.
So, all right, that's going to do it for this segment of the Cardinals Nest. We'll bring in Kathi Opsahl from the softball team and talk with her next here on HBC's The Cardinals Nest. And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest, and this smiling face that you see now is Kathi Opsahl. Kathi is a senior on the softball team at St. Mary's and a terrific student athlete for the Cardinals, so we wanted to share Kathi with all of you today. And Kathi, maybe start us off. Tell us where you're from and how you got started in softball and why you eventually came to St. Mary's.
I am from Elk River, Minnesota, the cities, about 3 hours north of here. I started softball when I was 5. I've been playing for 17 years, and here I am at my last season. I was actually more born into it. I have 3 older sisters. My oldest is 12 years older, and by the time I was born, she was already in softball. She was very involved. And so right from the start, I was going to the games, you know, had a glove as a baby, so.
So who's better of the 3 girls?
I'm going to say me. I'm going to say me. So I took it more seriously than them. I went to college and played. They just kind of stopped after high school.
Okay,
so.
all right. So why St. Mary's? Tell us about the recruitment to St. Mary's and why you chose the Cardinals.
The moment I stepped on campus, I knew this is what I wanted. I love St. Mary's. I met Seabray right away, and I'm the old coach, and she really kind of led me to St. Mary's and fell in love with it, and I knew it was the place I wanted to be.
And Carolyn, by old coach, she means
Sorry.
former assistant coach.
No, my bad. So.
We'll make sure she sees that.
We're going to absolutely make sure. No, see, I wasn't kidding about the smile, isn't it? It's just awesome. She's always having fun. Can you talk a little bit about your progression from your freshman year? And as you said, now this is the kind of the tail end of your senior year. How has your game changed from freshman to sophomore to senior year?
I'd say when I came in, I was very nervous. As a freshman, every freshman has to kind of figure out their role on the team, sort of make friends, and figure out what college is like, what college athletics is like. And so when I came in, I was very nervous, very timid. I'd say through my 4 years, I've gained confidence. I am very happy to be on the team, with the relationships you build and with the coaches, with the teammates. I'd say it's just gotten a lot better.
I've mentioned a lot of times on this show, because I've mentioned your name a lot, and one of the things that really has stood out to me is offensively you've always been good, but defensively it seems like this year this is the best you've played defensively.
Yeah.
Is there anything you did differently in the offseason, maybe from junior year to senior? Because this year you have been an absolute gem out in right field.
Thank you. I'd say a lot of the work with Matt, when we have captain's practices or even the fall practices, I knew, like, going into this season, I wanted to do my best. I wanted to do well in the outfield. I've always been in right field, but I wanted to really step up my game. So I think the work that we do off season has helped me.
I think what makes defense in softball so difficult is the speed of the game, especially at the college level. I mean, those balls are getting out to you quickly, from the pitcher to the hitter. I mean, it's a snap of a finger and something's happening, right?
Yeah.
And was that an adjustment for you coming from high school? Is it a slightly slower game at the high school level compared to college?
Oh yeah, I remember my first game we played. It was a non-conference game, doubleheader, and I've played plenty of games where 4 or 5 a day. But once I got in, played my first game collegiately, I remember I was exhausted at the end because it was so fast. It was so sudden. So it was a huge adjustment, but as the 4 years have gone by, I've gotten used to it. So.
Can you talk a little bit about how your role has changed? As you said, when you came in as a freshman, very timid, kind of trying to find your way. Well, now as the senior, people are looking to you to be one of the leaders. There's 4 seniors. I'm sure all 4 of you have your leadership roles. How has your role changed? And talk a little bit about what that role is for you this year.
I think, so coming in freshman year, I was still the 4th hitter, the cleanup hitter, and there was a lot of pressure. And so I felt my role then was just to do my job and stick with that, or do the best I could. Through the years, I still have that do your job, do your best. But yeah, I've gotten a little bit more leadership roles. There's when freshmen come in, now sophomores come in, you kind of have to set the mode, the setting, I guess, the tone for the season and for the team. And so I think all the seniors and even some of the juniors do that as well. We just do our best to set the tone,
And Kathi, as you look back now on your career, what advice do you have for freshmen or for high school seniors who will be playing college ball?
Just give it a try. For high school seniors, definitely give it a shot, give it a try. Don't give up. Just don't say, you know, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to try it, because still today I hear a lot of people say, oh, I wish I had tried college athletics. I wish I had tried out. I wish I had gone for it. For incoming freshmen, I'd say don't be so timid. Don't be so nervous. You're going to have a team to back you up, a family. That's what I call my team, as a family. And so, yes, it's going to be scary. It's going to be crazy, but in the end, it's the best thing that's going to happen.
Now, I'm sure you probably don't want to talk about this, but let's talk about this weekend. You've got two doubleheaders this weekend, with Sunday being senior day.
Yep.
I know, and everybody that you put in this situation, I can't believe it's senior day, my last home game. But can you just kind of talk about how you're going to approach this weekend and the emotions that you're going to go through?
I'm very emotional, so there's going to be a lot of tears shed on Sunday. As hard as it is to admit, I've already cried a lot with this season. So usually when you think of, oh, could be the last time that this is going to happen, or this is what it feels like, this is what I'm going to miss and forget, or hopefully not forget, but a lot of tears. So coming into this weekend, I'm going to try my best to not cry, but of course it's going to happen. So.
Okay, now, I'm not going to say a number, but there's a rumor that I heard that you don't like to know your batting average.
I do not.
Tell us about that.
I'm a little superstitious with that. Growing up, I guess, whenever I knew my number, I felt like, oh, I have to improve it. I have to do better. And although I still have the mindset, like, I need to do my job, I need to get that number up and do the things that a fourth hitter must do, I can't know the number, because if I know that, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm not doing good enough, or, oh, I need to get better, and it just gets in my head. Softball is a big game in your head, and so I can't.
See, I never like to know my batting average either, but not for that reason, right? It's just too low to really know.
Kathi, do you have any other superstitions that you'd like to share?
Oh, many. When I go up to the batter's box, I have to pull down my helmet. I kind of have to move in a way. Let's see, there's certain songs I have to listen to before the game. I'm very superstitious. I wish it went away for my senior year, but it all stayed.
So, talk about this season a little bit. The results on the field haven't been the way that you or Coach Miller would have hoped. And so how have you tried to, not only just for yourself, but keep the team mentally strong and focused to finish strong here down the stretch?
Yeah. We haven't had the best record. We're trying our best to win these games. We've been playing, the MIAC has amazing teams that are nationally ranked, and so it's always hard to go and play St. Kate's and St. Thomas, when they're so good. However, the team, we are extremely close. We're a family. I call them my sisters, and so being with them, and we just have fun with it. We go in and we say, we have this to do. We want to win. Of course, everybody wants to win, but in the end, what really matters is the memories you make and the fun you have on the field. And as long as you're having fun, everything's going to be okay.
Let's talk a little bit more about Kathi, too, because you are an English education major, which is really a double major, both English and education. So tell us about that decision and what you hope to do with that here in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully I get a job. Hopefully I graduate and
Who wouldn't
get a
hire
job.
this?
That's right.
I'm in high school, I hated English class, which is kind of a surprise. I just wasn't a fan of it. I liked science and math, and then when I came to college, I took an English course, and I just fell in love. I loved it. And so I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to do that. So I just combined them, my love for English and education, and that's where I'm going. So.
And you had a chance to do a little student teaching this past year in Wabasha. Tell us about that.
I loved the experience. I loved my kids. It was crazy. When you're going in with, the school tries to help you out as much as they can. They prepare you, they get lessons ready and all that stuff. But nothing actually prepares you for what it's like in the real world. So it was interesting. I mean, like I said, I loved it. At first, I was very nervous. It was very hard, but I got used to it, and I fell in love with the students, and now I know this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So,
have you thought at all about parlaying some coaching into that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So most of my high school coaches all were teachers, so that's what I'm going to go into and do that too.
All right, Kathi Opsahl from the softball team, senior. You'll be graduating here in May, so congratulations on that. And good luck here. Final home game coming up this weekend and for the rest of the season as well.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. When we come back, we'll preview the week ahead in St. Mary's Athletics here on HBC. And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. As we wrap up this episode, Donnie and I will take a look at the week ahead in St. Mary's Athletics. And Donnie, in the first segment, we didn't get a chance to talk golf because they actually didn't compete this past weekend, but they do have some big matches this weekend.
Yeah, busy weekend for the golfers. The men will be at Gustavus for their 54-hole two-day tournament, and then the women are at Bethel for the Royal match. So they'll conclude the spring portion of their season this weekend. Most of the golf usually happens in the fall, and then they do pick up a couple of matches here in the spring, and so their season will conclude this weekend. And busy weekend at home for our Cardinal baseball and softball teams. As we mentioned with Kathi, we've got 2 home doubleheaders this weekend against Hamlin and then Augsburg. Hamlin will be on Saturday and Augsburg will be on Sunday, Sunday being senior day for our 4 seniors. And then baseball has got McAllister on Saturday, also at home, a 1 o'clock doubleheader there at Max Moloch Field, so a very busy time there. Track and field are on the road on Friday at UW La Crosse, as we've talked about, so very busy weekend ahead, and you know, it's that time of year when, especially with Mother Nature cramping things in, that we just, you know, you go from day to day rather than from week to week because you never know what's going to happen in terms of the weather.
Right. We've been trying to get Nick Winicky, the baseball coach, on our show all spring. It just hasn't happened due to the crazy spring schedule.
Well, I think it's partly because he just doesn't want to come on, so he schedules these things so that they don't they coincide with when we tape. But yeah, hopefully next weekend we can get, or next week we can get Nick on. But you know, it's we're kind of reliant on the weather, and Mother Nature hasn't been very kind to us in the midweek. Yeah. So
well, just one episode of the Cardinals Nest left, so we've got to do it next week with Nick. So all right, that's going to do it for this show. Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week for the Cardinals Nest right here on TV 25.